of murder. CNN Sunday night, May 15th, 10 Eastern.
A new group of volunteers is planning to help the Minuteman Project monitor our border with Mexico. The Friends of the Border Patrol will be deployed in California this coming August. The group's leader, Andy Ramirez, says citizens volunteering to defend our nation in time of war and crisis is a time-honored tradition. So far, 300 people have volunteered for the project, including former law enforcement and military officials. The Minuteman Project, which attracted thousands of volunteers, ended over the weekend. The group said the month-long project helped apprehend 335 illegal aliens. That is, despite intense criticism of the group, even from President Bush, who called the Minutemen vigilantes. Even the New York Times this weekend ran what appeared to be a begrudging article about the success of the Minuteman Project. A new study out today highlights the rising number of Hispanic workers in this country. Many of those new workers are, of course, illegal aliens who are displacing American workers and bringing wages for working U.S. citizens down. Kitty Pilgrim has the report.
Plenty of Americans want to work in the construction industry, but new immigrant workers snapped up about half the new jobs last year. And the Pew Hispanic Center says 70% of immigrants from Latin America are illegal. The trend can be seen all over the economy in a range of jobs: plaster workers, hotel workers, service jobs in hotels and restaurants, hospital workers.
What we found in the last year is that out of the 2.5 million jobs created in the economy, 1 million went to Latino workers, almost all of whom were recently arrived immigrants.
Newly arrived immigrants are not just staying on the border. States showing the largest growth in immigrant population in the last 4 years: Tennessee, Alaska, Georgia, North Carolina, Washington, and Maryland. Legal or not, employers are hiring them, and wages are falling as new immigrants are willing to work for less. The Pew Hispanic study found those who lose out the most are legal American-born Latinos. American Hispanic workers lost 44,000 jobs in laundry services and housework, and recent immigrants picked up nearly all of those jobs.
It confirms a lot of things that we already knew. One, that Hispanics who come here as immigrants are competing most directly with other recent Hispanic immigrants. Secondly, that immigrants are moving beyond traditional urban centers and out more into the countryside or suburban areas.
New immigrants are taking any work they can get, and getting it in disproportionate numbers. 40% of new jobs went to newly arrived Latino workers, even though they make up only 15% of the workforce. Now, the numbers from the Pew Center point out what many Americans have known intuitively for years. The recent wave of immigration has made finding a job in certain industries harder to do, and the wages in those industries a lot harder to live on.
Now, the Pew study did not break out numbers in terms of illegal and legal immigrants.
That's right. But when pressed, they said they estimate from other studies about 70% of the Latino immigrants are illegal.
Why would they not put that bold-faced, straightforwardly in front of the readers of that study and those that they're trying to communicate?
Yeah, it was enigmatic why they didn't break it out into two different groups, but when pressed, they did come up with that.
And it's enigmatic why any organization that has Pew Hispanic Center with the word Hispanic, why it would not take great pains to differentiate the interests of illegal immigrants and those who are legal and who are embraced in this country.
Particularly when the Hispanic population is the population that's being hurt. The legal Hispanic population is being hurt by this wave of illegal immigration.
And yet, Hispanic activists, open border activists in this country will try to claim some sort of basic ownership of Hispanic values when talking about illegal immigration, and they seem to be absolutely disdainful of the true interests of Hispanic American workers in this country. It's mind-boggling.
It certainly is, but one thing is clear about this: Hispanics are being hurt. Legal Hispanics are being hurt by this. And
nationally, wages are estimated to be somewhere around $150 billion. Working wages in this country for U.S. citizens, $150 billion in depressed wages a year. That, in addition to all of the other burdens, has obviously a tremendous impact on the economy, not to mention society and our culture. Kitty Pilgrim, thank you very much for the report. One American industry that benefits greatly, perhaps more than any other, in fact, from the millions of illegal aliens in this country, is agriculture. More than half all of the farm workers in this country are illegal aliens working for low, exploitive wages. Casey Wyan reports from Santa Paula, California.
Hundreds of thousands of farm workers in this country are illegal aliens. Growers know it, so does the government. It's a business grown dependent on lawbreakers and accomplices, with little interference from authorities. Growers hire middlemen, harvesting companies, or farm labor contractors, who in turn hire the workers. This contractor, who spoke on condition we conceal his identity, says illegal aliens are often the only people willing to endure the physical demands and seasonal nature of farm labor.
We're forced to hire, whoever is out there, and those type of workers are workers that are coming across the border, whether that is legal or otherwise. We're in a kind of a catch-22 situation where if we don't come up with laborers, we're just not going to be able to harvest the fruit.
Most harvesting companies require immigration documents from their workers, but the only real requirement is the documents can't be obvious frauds. The Labor Department estimates about half of the nation's farm workers are illegal aliens. Here in Ventura County, California, the number is much higher, about 80%. And farm labor contractors say they could double the wages they pay and still not attract enough legal workers. Workers here average $8 to $9 an hour. Depending on the crop, the most productive can make nearly twice that, but only for a few weeks at a time.
The hourly wage for a lot of farm workers isn't that bad. I think this idea that growers are getting rich off exploiting low wages, there is a lot of exploitation, but it's not so much wages.
Compass says California is one of only a handful of states that recognize farm worker unions. And even the largest of those says the biggest beneficiary of illegal alien labor is not big agriculture, but U.S. consumers. The average American spends just $7 a week on fresh produce.
Consumers obviously want the best food that they can, the best produced food that they can possibly get at the best price that they can receive. And so those pressures are always on in the agricultural industry as well as the farm labor force.
Other pressures include increased competition from Chinese and South American produce imports, harvested where wages and labor conditions are much worse. Casey Wyan, CNN, Santa Paula, California.
And on the subject of illegal immigration and border security, tonight the Mexican government is taking on one of our guests who appeared on this broadcast almost 3 weeks ago. Peter Gadiel, the president of the 9/11 Families for a Secure America, was here as our guest to discuss his support for the Real ID Act, which is designed, of course, in part to keep driver's licenses out of the hands of illegal aliens. While he was here, Mr. Gadiel showed us just how easy it is to obtain a Mexican ID card that many illegals are now using to obtain driver's licenses in some state, and he showed us his phony matricular counselor. Mr. Gadiel's appearance here prompted a sharply worded letter from Mexico's Consul General. That leader asked Gadiel to surrender his matricular counselor card, saying in part, quote, "Our attorneys are currently exploring all legal avenues on this matter to determine responsibilities in the purchase and use of a forged Mexican government-issued ID." Peter Gadiel, for his part, says he is amazed by the letter from the Mexican government and says he has done nothing illegal. He will be here to talk about this astonishing development this coming Thursday, and we have yet to hear from the Mexican government as to how many letters of complaint they have sent to illegal aliens using matricular counselors and other forged documents in this country to obtain jobs and entry to this country. We'll continue to explore that with the Mexican government here. That brings us to the subject of our poll tonight. Do you believe the Bush administration will ever get serious about border security? Yes or no? Cast your vote. BlueDodge.com will have the results coming up tonight. Next here, how some foreign manufacturers are getting away